Today on Rappler, Mayon Volcano is on alert level 3. State of calamity declared over nearby areas. Supreme Court says it's up to President Aquino to seek compensation over the Tubbataha Reef incident. And U.S. warplanes bomb ISIS near Baghdad.
Hello, I'm Paterno Esmaquel. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. Albay Governor Joey Salceda declares a state of calamity in areas surrounding Mayon Volcano after the volcano showed signs of a potential eruption in the coming days. The state of calamity covers the cities of Legazpi, Tabaco, and Ligao, and the towns of Santo Domingo, Malilipot, Ginubatan, Camalig, and Daraga. Late Monday, the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOX, placed the volcano on alert level 3, or critical mode. This means the volcano is exhibiting relatively high unrest, magma is at the crater, and an eruption is possible within weeks. Mandatory evacuation for all residents within the permanent danger zone and those in the extended danger zone is ongoing. Mayon Volcano is famous for its near-perfect cone shape from the summit to the base. Its last major activity was an explosion of ash and steam in May 2013. Two people who drowned in Pangasinan became the first casualties linked to Typhoon Luis, international name Kalmegi. On Monday, authorities earlier claimed 0 casualties from the typhoon, which brought heavy rain and strong winds across Luzon over the weekend. Officials said they would exclude the deaths from the sinking of a ferry off southern Leyte, saying the incident was only an indirect impact of the typhoon. The situation report released early Tuesday still listed the casualties and survivors of the ferry sinking, but identified it as separate incidents. Nearly 140,000 people, or more than 31,000 families, were affected by the typhoon. The Supreme Court says it's up to President Benigno Aquino to seek compensation for damages over the Tubbataha Reef incident through diplomatic means or through a suit against the U.S. before a United Nations tribunal. The Philippines earlier said it will seek damages after the USS Guardian ran aground on the reef in January 2013, damaging the protected marine reserve in Palawan. On Tuesday, the High Court junked a petition for a writ of kalikasan that would require the U.S. to pay for damages. The High Court said damages should be made in a separate civil suit. It also says the matter is within the jurisdiction of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. What could have pushed Lucio Tan to buy Philippine Airlines back? The promising developments in the flag carrier could be considered reason for Tan to take PAL back, 2 years after it sold 49% of the airline to an unlikely partner, beer arch rival San Miguel Corporation, for $500 million. But a source says it was an emotional decision for the tycoon. In a party to celebrate the buyback Monday night, Tan said, "PAL is more than an airline company for me. It goes beyond investing. It is like family." During Tan's management, PAL undertook massive layoffs that resulted in labor disputes, forcing it to shut down briefly in 1998. In 2008, the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration downgraded the Philippines' aviation status to Category 2, preventing PAL from expanding operations in the U.S. and flying into the European Union. When San Miguel bought PAL, its president Ramon Ang had a clear goal: fix the airline and make it profitable again. With the new change of hands, the market now awaits Tan's next move. Earlier reports said Tan plans to take in Abu Dhabi-based Etihad Airways as partner. U.S. warplanes carry out their first airstrikes against the Islamic State or ISIS near Baghdad Monday. U.S. officials say it is the first time the U.S. has targeted the militants close to the Iraqi capital. A U.S. defense official says American warplanes carried out one airstrike near Baghdad and another near Mount Sinjar in the north of Iraq in the past 24 hours. The strikes destroyed 6 ISIS vehicles near Sinjar and an ISIS fighting position southwest of Baghdad that had been firing on Iraqi forces. In a last bid to stop the United Kingdom split, leaders of 3 main British parties pledged to give the Scottish Parliament more powers if voters reject independence. This comes 2 days ahead of Scotland's independence referendum Thursday. Conservative Prime Minister David Cameron, opposition Labour Party leader Ed Miliband, and Liberal Democrat Deputy Prime Minister Nick Clegg signed the pledge. The joint pledge said, "People want to see change. A no vote will deliver faster, safer, and better change than separation." It reaffirms the timetable for the new powers promised for Scotland after polls a week before the referendum showed a pro-independence surge. The pledge was published after Cameron's last-minute trip to Scotland to urge Scots to vote against independence or face the consequences. He says independence would not be a trial separation. It would be a painful divorce. Economist and Nobel Prize winner Joseph Stiglitz describes pro-union warnings as, quote, fear-mongering. Let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 2, the European Union urges the international community to increase aid to make up for precious time lost in the response to the deadly Ebola outbreak. The United Nations or UN announces an emergency meeting on the crisis after it said Ebola cases are multiplying, quote, faster than the capacity to manage them. The UN is appealing for $600 million for supplies, with countries asked to send doctors, nurses, beds, trucks, equipment, and other vehicles to countries affected by the outbreak. And at number 7, a U.S. government audit says NASA's program to detect and protect the Earth from incoming asteroids is poorly managed. Just $1 million of the program's $40 million annual budget is spent on strategies to deflect an incoming asteroid or evacuate areas in danger of impact. In 2005, space agency NASA was tasked to establish a program for tracking near-Earth objects to decide on their threat and to catalog 90% of these objects by 2020. But an audit by a NASA inspector shows the space agency identified only 10% of these objects and will not meet its 2020 target. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. How can technology be used to deal with climate change and the impact it leaves behind? In PH Plus Social Good Manila hashtag 2030 Now, international and Filipino speakers talk collaboration in a world where no country is safe from natural disasters. Philippine Climate Change Commissioner Lucille Sering says, at the root of climate change is the world's unsustainable energy sources, fossil fuels that lead to the emission of greenhouse gases. Sering encourages the shift to greener energy to effectively reduce disaster risks.
So I truly believe that if you want to address climate change, we need to have that climate of change or klima ng pagbabago in the way we do things if we want to address the challenges that climate change poses to us.
And it's going to happen over.
Chris Van Orsdel of New York State's Storm Recovery Office also says recovery processes after a big disaster can be slow. As the Philippines nears the first anniversary of the world's strongest storm, Haiyan, Van Orsdel says it took years for the U.S. to recover from Hurricane Katrina.
The challenge is that you're coming up on a one-year anniversary. In Katrina, it took us over 6 years to get back, and that's in the United States.
He also says initiatives like using social media and Rappler's Project Agos can help better respond to future disasters.
The oil spill, which impacted us. When Katrina happened in the United States, we are really a very developed nation. We didn't have the structures in place that you heard Rappler and others are implementing today. Top-down ideas from the government, bottom-up ideas from people, which is, it's not only about rebuilding better today, it's about coming up with a better plan for the future. And that's important from the standpoint not only...
Every story on Rappler has a mood meter which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page, which crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories with the most clicks. We have few positive stories in our mood navigator today. This story about the Social Good Summit. As it happens, PH Plus Social Good Manila hashtag 2030 Now, 64% of readers voted inspired. This other story about schools. UP Ateneo move up in world rankings. 9% don't care and 77% happy. Most other stories on the Mood Navigator today are negative stories. This story about the beating of actor Vong Navarro. Court allows Denise Cornejo and Cedric Lee to post bail. 63% angry. And the story that got the most number of votes today, it's a 2001 Newsbreak story that we republished. The Lord of Makati, can Binay explain his wealth? 3% annoyed and 90% angry. The red votes on our Mood Navigator today all contributed to the mood of the day. Today, most people are angry. That is Rappler's newscast for today, Tuesday, September 16, 2014. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel in our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Paterno Esmaquel. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.